So welcome to another conversation. And now we are looking at the Mundell-Fleming model, right? We're looking at the Mundell-Fleming model. Now, it should be important to highlight that there is a very close relationship between the IS, the LM, the ISLM, and the Mundell-Fleming model. Is that clear? The only difference is that the Mundell-Fleming model incorporates the global economy, the other world, all right? We are dealing with an open economy, whereas in the LM, ISLM, we are just dealing with a closed what? Closed economy. You get it, huh? The variables that we are still using are still the same. It's only that now we're dealing with the global world, right? Are we good? I've said that the similarities are that both of the models, they stress the interaction between goods market and the the money market. And in both, the prices are fixed in the short run. Okay. The difference is that the ISLM model, I've already said, the ISLM model assumes a closed economy. The Mundell-Fleming is an open one. Now, in the Mundell-Fleming model, interest rates are determined by the world market. You understand? Not by the local market, because it's an open world. Okay? But in the ISLM model, they are determined by the domestic economy. Now, there is a key assumption that you should work with. It is called perfect international capital mobility. We assume in the Fleming model that we are working with a perfect international capital mobility, which simply means the capital can easily move from one country to the other. Okay? So basically, it is just a modification. The IS in the Fleming model is just the same as the one we have in the ISLM, only that the one in the Fleming model has the net exports. You've seen it, right? Yeah. Now, the key message we should take home is that there is a negative relationship between what? Net exports and the exchange rates. I think that's a key message. We'll use that several. Okay? Yeah. So the implication is that the exchange rates, as we may be aware, they can either be nominal interest rates or the real interest rates. Yeah, the real interest rate is measured as the relative prices of goods at home and those abroad. That's what we mean by real interest rates. Like how much does something cost abroad over what, the relative. How much do you pay? How much quarter do you need to pay maybe for this? And how much do you need to pay when you go abroad? Then that saves the interest rates, right? Mm-hmm. 5 kwacha here, then there maybe you need to convert that into dollars. It will be maybe 20 kwacha. This will give you now the real interest rate. That's the message we are sending. So real interest rate is given by that. Whereas nominal interest rate is just the normal interest rate, the normal exchange rates, not really the real one. Okay. So now, what is it that we are having? I think the conversation around the exchange rates is a common one. Maybe let me just highlight some facts. Now listen. If the real exchange rates increase, right? You understand, right?
Yes.
Let me start from here. What happens if your kwacha appreciates against the dollar? Meaning, this is where you say the exchange rate has come down, isn't it? You get it, eh? If the kwacha appreciates against the dollar, so that is to say, you need a few of kwachas to get $1. You understand, right? If you get $1, you need maybe 29 kwacha. When $1 now becomes equivalent to 20 kwacha, it means your kwacha has appreciated. You understand? Because you just need a few of your kwachas to buy only $1. You get it, right? So now, your kwachas, and this message, you should pick it properly. Like you find so many questions in those papers you sent me that cut this. So what will happen when that happens? Then the nominal interest rates will increase. The interest rates will increase, okay? And the real exchange rates will also do what? Increase. What will happen to the foreign goods? The foreign goods, they'll be cheaper, yeah. Because I mean, you just need a few of kwachas. Imagine you can buy something that you needed $100, like something that was for $100, maybe you needed about over 15,000, right? For example. But now you can easily, since your kwacha is stronger, you can even buy it using as low as 7,000. You see that foreign goods will become cheaper, right? They even become cheaper than the domestic ones. So what will happen is that the exports will do what now? Will fall. Why should the domestic ones fall? This should be your understanding. This is practical economics. You see, when your kwacha appreciates, it means that your goods here are expensive. So people, instead of demanding to buy our goods, those foreigners, they will avoid buying our goods because they're expensive at that point. You understand? You get it, eh? But us, on the other hand, we are going to do what? We import more because the foreign goods are what? Are cheaper. That's the understanding. So that should be ringing in your head whenever you hear that the exchange rates have fallen, chan. That's the meaning. Now, in the Mundell-Fleming model, there are two key variables that you work with in the goods market: the interest rates and the exchange rate. It's different from the other one. There you were working with what? Taxes, government expenditure. But now you just work with interest rates and the exchange rates. Aye. Very important. So the exchange rates become like the equation is this for your IAS. If you open the economy, okay? That understanding is good to take home. So now we derive the IAS. Let's derive the IAS again in the open economy. It is derived like that. This almost the same way. Only that there we were using the interest rates, right? And now we are using the exchange rates, the nominal exchange rates. You got it, eh?
Yes.
This is the IS. You should learn how to drive this. It's the same stuff that we are doing. And so that's that. What about the Mundell-Fleming model where we capture now also the LM curve as well? Yeah. Now, in the open economy, the Mundell-Fleming model take that form, and the money and the price are exogenous in this case, even in the open economy. If your money is exogenous, then this is what you're going to have. The LM curve will be vertical in the open economy. Understand that. In the closed economy, it is upward sloping, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That is in the closed economy. But in the open economy, it is vertical, like that. Why? There is no relationship between money and exchange rate. This is the assumption we are working. It doesn't affect. That's why it's like this. Whether the exchange rate increase, it doesn't really influence our money. Remember, the exchange rate is exogenous. This is determined by the foreign world.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? And the money supply is local, it's global. Okay? And it's determined by central. Okay. The ISLM for this will come like this. You see now, please get this. In the open economy, LM is vertical, I've already said. Then the IS is down and sloping, just like in the goods market. But this side, we don't have interest rate. We have exchange rates. You are good?
Yeah.
Yeah, we are working with exchange rates. And now that we are working with the exchange rates, this is what we have. Remember, the exchange rate is set by the market forces. It can fluctuate in response to changes in the economic conditions at any time, right? And you see this adjustment, it will simultaneously affect these two markets, see? All right, the goods market and the money market. So they are following are the key regimes that we look at. We are almost ending. The fiscal policy regime, monetary policy, and the trade policy. And these, you pay attention to them. When they change, something happens. One, let's start with the fiscal policy. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So it is in an open economy. So when you read the question, they say, consider it's an expansionary fiscal policy, and they specify that it's an open economy. This is what happens. What happens to the IS, the LM, and the exchange rates, and domestic currency and income? Those are the things that happen. You pay attention to them. Are you still there? Get some more energy, please. This is very important. The IS will shift to the right. Just like in the closed economy, isn't it? Right?
Mm-hmm.
But the LM will remain the same because it's vertical. That's what we've said. It's vertical, it's not influenced by those. Then the exchange rates will do what? It will increase. So vertical, then that. So exchange rate will increase like that. You get it, eh? Mm-hmm. Okay. Then domestic currency, it will now appreciate. There'll be an increase in the exchange rates. So domestic currency, if there is an increase in exchange rates, it means that your foreign currency has appreciated, right? When your foreign currency appreciates, or so not your foreign, your local currency, your domestic currency, then the foreign one depreciates. But income, what happens to income? Income is down here. It remains the same. So income and the LM remains there, the same. Domestic currency does what? Appreciates. You are hearing when there is an expansionary fiscal policy in an open economy. Okay. Are we good? So this is the shifting I was talking about. Graphically, you can depict it like that. I have already put this graphic. Okay. What about the monetary policy? I've brought another regime. What happens to the IS, the LM, the exchange rate, domestic currency, exports, imports, and income now? When there is monetary policy, those are the things that you explain. Those are the things that changes. Number one, IS now will remain the same because this is monetary. The monetary policy doesn't affect the IS scale, isn't it? So that's why it remains the same. You're following, eh? But the LM will shift to the right because this is an expansionary monetary policy. If it were a contractionary, it could have shifted to the left. You understand, eh? Exchange rate will do what? Or reduce. All right. And then when that happens, it's a monetary policy. Domestic currency again still appreciates, foreign currency falls, income remains same. Don't confuse with what we were talking about previous. It was fiscal policy that now this is monetary policy. All right.
Yeah.
So whenever there is an expansionary monetary or expansionary fiscal policy, the domestic currency appreciates, but the foreign currency depreciates. Income remains the same. True or false? All right. So that's that. So you should ask yourself a question, an opposite question. What if it's a contractionary monetary policy? It will be the opposite of all these things you're seeing. Okay? That's how it's done. Okay? So now, if you have the other one, the opposite one is what you have now. So when your currency depreciates, what happens to your exports? Exports increase, isn't it? Because now your goods are cheaper. I explained that already. So exports will increase, then imports will reduce. When your currency loses value, you import less of the goods, right? Yes, sir. And then for income, now we are talking about the changes in LM. Let LM now shift to the one, to the right. This is in the trade balances when you're trading now. So increasing to the right, that will reduce exchange rates. That is an increase in money supply. You've seen it, right? When money supply increases, this is what will happen. So exchange rates will reduce. And domestic currency will do what? Go down. The trade policy, as we come to almost the end, the trade policy, what really happens to the IS, LM, and the exchange rate, domestic currency and income, when there is expansionary trade policy, right? You know what the expansionary trade policy simply means? You know, you are trying to impose a quota, for example, an import quota or a tariff Yeah. So you're trying to increase how much you send outside than what you, that's by trade policy, we mean having a large difference. Remember, trade policy is made up of exports minus imports, isn't it? So if you want this value to increase, what happens? You want to reduce imports, but increase exports. That's the message you're sending. So that is what an expansionary trade policy is all about. A contractionary one is where now you aim at reducing exports, but increasing what? Imports. That is contractionary trade policy. Okay? Imagine we have an expansionary one. Then the IS will shift to the right. The LM will remain the same. Exchange rates will increase upward. Your domestic currency appreciates if your exchange rates increase upside. Then income will still remain the same. So in short, in the open economy, income has been remaining the same throughout, right?
Mm-hmm.
No confusion is needed anywhere. So this is a graphical representation of this. Okay. You got it?
I was trying to do 200%.
Sorry?
No, it's fine, it's understood.
Okay. Now, let me talk about fixed exchange rates, not floating exchange rates. Where you fix the exchange rates, what really happens if the exchange rates are fixed, like for example, $1 is equal to 20, you know those things, such regimes. You should know the implication there. When you fix it, this is what happens. When you have fixed exchange rates and it's fixed above the equilibrium, this is what happens. Instead, the normal one is this one, but you have fixed it on top. That's what we mean by fixing the exchange rate. You can also fix it under the equilibrium one, below the equilibrium. Okay. Now, what really happens to the fiscal policy, monetary policy, and trade policy in the fixed exchange rate regime? That's the question. When you have expansionary fiscal policy, where you increase expenditure or reduce tax, in the fixed exchange rate regime, this is what happens. The IS will shift to the right. The LM will also shift to the right now. You get it, eh? But the exchange rate will remain the same. It is fixed. You're following, eh? The exchange rate is it is going to shift to remain the same. Then domestic currency will not change, it is fixed. Then income now will do what? Will change. So you should understand, that's why I've emphasized on understanding what regime are you working with. When you hear it's an expansionary fiscal policy, first of all, ask yourself, is this an open economy? Oh, all right. Then what exchange rate regime are you working with? Is it fixed or floating? Right? Because if it's floating, nothing happens to income. But if it's fixed, now these are the changes that will happen. Graphically, you can depict it like this. Both of them, LM has shifted to the right, IS shifted to the right, income increased as well, but exchange rates have remained fixed. That's what I'm saying. You got it? Yeah. This is the fiscal policy. So if they ask you contractionary, you do the opposite. Contractionary policy, it will be the opposite. Though exchange rates will still remain fixed. Monetary policy. I've talked about fiscal policy. Monetary policy, expansionary. Now, IS will remain the same because there is no relationship between monetary policy and the IS. You get it, eh? LM, it will shift initially, then it will have to get back again, return back to normal. That's what happens. If you are dealing with the monetary and it's fixed the exchange rates, the exchange rates will remain the same. Domestic currency will not change. Even income will remain the same because there is not much change that happens. It was almost the change, but it got back like this. This is the graphical representation of that. You understand? Money supply increased, but it came back. Yeah, that is the expansionary monetary policy. Even the contractionary will be the same, to be just the opposite, but nothing happens. In short, listen, monetary policy doesn't change anything. You understand? In the open economy, yeah? Because of what? The monetary policy is controlled by your central bank, by a domestic economy. So it can't really have an impact to the world, the bigger world phenomena, right? The bigger or the world economy. You understand the reason why that happens, right?
Yes.
Maybe I should just define this term before we end. Devaluation is a reduction in the official value of the currency. It's different from
Yeah.
All right. This one is where you just decide to reduce the currency. Let's say your currency was standing at 1 to, not really fixing. This is different from fixing it. This is just an effort. $1 is equivalent to 24 kwacha. Then you reduce it. You say $1 should be equivalent to 25. Oh, not 25. Why am I? Is that an increase or a decrease? You reduce it, let's say, to 15. You understand? You haven't fixed it. You have just reduced it, and to allow it to vary again at some point. Even revaluation is the same one. When your local currency maybe has got whatever low value, okay, you can still revalue it again against the other currency. Okay, all those are the effects, right? You get it, right? To devalue it, for example, against the currency, let's say devalue is to lose value, right? So you need more of the kwacha. So if it was 1 kwacha normal equal to 25, then you change it, you say 1 kwacha is equal to what? To maybe 34. This is devaluation. Your currency officially you've made your currency lose value. Then revaluation is where you make your currency gain value by reducing it. That's the revaluation. You have given value to your currency. Yeah, these are just official numbers and efforts. So now, revaluation will shift the LM curve to the left, right? It will shift it to the left. Then it will lower the volume of exports, obvious. We know that if there is a revaluation, exports will decrease because our goods will become what? Expensive. It increases the volume of imports. Imports will become cheaper for us. It will lower net exports. That's true. It will lower the level of aggregate income. Then devaluation. Devaluation. This one will now shift the LM curve to the right. The volume of export will increase for exports. Okay, we have lost the value, so our currency loses value. We export more, our goods are cheaper. All right, but imports will reduce because foreign goods are expensive. All right, so this is what really happens. And finally, about the trade policy, expansionary trade policy, I've already said the expansionary trade policy, it's where we want to reduce imports and increase exports. During that time, IS will shift to the right, LM will shift to the right, exchange rate will remain the same, domestic currency will not change as well. And then income will do what? Will increase. The graphical representation is the same one that I've shown you, and here it is. Okay?